Have you ever stopped to wonder why someone who says they care about you can also make you feel like you're constantly guessing, doubting, and questioning your worth? That heavy feeling in your chest, the confusion that keeps you awake at night, the second guessing of every word, every silence, every delay in their reply. This isn't love, it's a game, and you deserve better than to be someone's toy on a board they control. Right now, you might feel like you're losing, like he has the upper hand, like he knows exactly how to push your buttons and keep you hooked. But here's the truth. The moment you decide to stop playing, the game is already over. Deep down, you already know what real love should feel like. It should feel safe. It should feel steady. It should lift you higher instead of tearing you down. But when a man is playing with your heart, he thrives on your doubt. He feeds on your hesitation. He takes comfort in knowing that you'll keep trying harder while he keeps giving less. That cycle is designed to make you believe that his approval is the prize you need to win. But the real prize is your peace, your power, your self-respect. And when you realize that, everything changes. Right now, you may think he has the control. You may believe he decides whether you're worthy of attention, of commitment, of consistency. But that's only true if you let it be true. The power has always been in your hands, though it's been hidden beneath layers of self-doubt, fear of rejection, and hope that he'll change. The moment you see the game for what it is, the illusion cracks. What he doesn't expect is your silence, your distance, your refusal to react. The moment you stop chasing, he loses the grip he thought was unbreakable. Think about it. How many times have you felt the sharp sting of being ignored, only to come running back the second he throws you crumbs of affection? How many times have you convinced yourself that maybe this time he means what he says, only to end up in the same cycle again? That is the trap. And breaking free requires one powerful decision: to value yourself more than you value the game. That choice doesn't just end his power over you, it rewrites the rules of your life. And here's why you need to stay with me through this message. Because you're about to discover that you are not powerless, you are not too much, and you are not hard to love. You are about to learn 12 ways to shift the balance completely, to see through manipulation, to step back into your worth, and to outsmart anyone who thinks they can play with your heart. Imagine what it would feel like to no longer wait by the phone, no longer question if you're good enough, no longer tie your happiness to someone else's inconsistency. That freedom is possible. That strength is within you right now. This isn't just about protecting your heart from one man. It's about transforming how you see yourself, how you carry yourself, and how you set the standard for every relationship in your life. By the time we're done, you'll not only understand the games men play, but you'll know how to win by refusing to play at all. Stay with me, because the shift you've been craving, the peace, the clarity, the power, it starts here. The first truth you must accept is this: a man who plays games with your heart is not doing it by accident. Every delay in his response, every mixed signal, every sudden burst of affection followed by cold silence is part of a pattern designed to keep you uncertain. Uncertainty is the weapon. It keeps you guessing, keeps you doubting yourself, keeps you searching for validation in places where it will never come. But the most dangerous part of this pattern isn't what he does. It's what you start to believe about yourself. You begin to think you are the problem, that if you were better, prettier, calmer, or more patient, he would stop. That belief is poison, and it's the very thing that keeps you trapped. Here's what you need to hear. Nothing you do will ever be enough for a man who chooses to play games. Not because you are lacking, but because his power relies on your confusion. When you understand that, you stop running in circles. You stop apologizing for needs that are valid. You stop bending yourself into pieces trying to hold on to someone who isn't even holding on to you. That is the moment the grip weakens, because the game only works if you continue to play along. So how do you break the cycle? By reclaiming the one thing he never expects you to guard: your attention. Attention is energy, and energy is power. The more you invested in his behavior, his silence, his hot and cold routine, the stronger his hold becomes. But when you shift that attention back to yourself, your growth, your goals, your peace, you take away the fuel that feeds his control. He may still try, he may still test, but he can no longer reach you in the same way. You are not starving for his approval because you are already full with your own self-worth. Think of how many hours, how many days, how many emotional breakdowns you've spent trying to decode messages that were never meant to give you clarity. Think of the weight you've carried on your chest every time you wondered if you mattered. And now imagine what it would feel like to release that weight. To wake up with a clear mind, not waiting for a message, not checking your phone in desperation, not needing reassurance from someone who gives it only when it benefits him. That freedom isn't a fantasy, it is a choice, a decision you can make today. This decision doesn't mean you stop caring about love or relationships. It means you redefine what you accept as love. You stop settling for half-hearted effort and start demanding consistency. You stop tolerating confusion and start requiring honesty. You stop giving access to men who only want the thrill of the chase but fear the responsibility of commitment. That shift is not just about them. It's about you stepping into a higher version of yourself, one who is too powerful, too aware, and too focused to be manipulated by games. And when you rise to that level, something remarkable happens. The men who play games no longer find you appealing because their tricks don't work on someone who knows her worth. They either change their approach or they walk away. Either way, you win because you are no longer chasing, no longer begging, no longer doubting. You are standing tall, fully in control, unshaken by inconsistency, unmoved by manipulation. That is a strength you've always had inside you. It's just been waiting for you to claim it, and the moment you claim it, everything changes. Strength begins with clarity, and clarity begins when you stop explaining away behavior that hurts you. Every time you excuse disrespect, every time you tell yourself he is just busy or stressed or confused, you hand over a piece of your power. Excuses become the walls that trap you in the very game you want to escape. But when you face the truth head on, without filters, you see his actions for what they are. Words can be sweet, but actions reveal everything. If his actions create more pain than peace, more questions than answers, then his role in your life is not love, it is distraction. Distraction is dangerous because it steals your time, and time is the one thing you can never get back. Every week spent waiting for him to change is a week you could have spent building yourself, strengthening your spirit, chasing your dreams, and opening your heart to someone who is ready to honor it. Think of how many beautiful moments you've lost by sitting in uncertainty, how many opportunities slipped through your fingers while you were too busy analyzing a man's silence. Those are moments you can never reclaim, but you can stop the cycle today. You can choose to no longer waste time on someone who refuses to value it. This is where courage comes in. Walking away is not weakness, it is the purest form of strength. It is saying to yourself, I matter more than this game. And it's not just about walking away physically, but emotionally, mentally, and spiritually, because sometimes you may physically leave, but still find yourself chained to his memory, still waiting for his approval in your mind. True freedom is when you cut those invisible ties, when you stop wondering if he regrets losing you, when you no longer measure your worth through his absence or presence. That is when you become untouchable. The beauty of this shift is that it transforms not only how you see him, but how you see yourself. When you stop tolerating games, you stop tolerating half-truths in every area of your life. You set a higher standard for your friendships, your work, your ambitions. You begin to attract people who reflect your new level of self-respect. This is the psychology of transformation. What you tolerate teaches others how to treat you. The moment you raise the bar, the world responds. And remember this, no one can play a game with someone who refuses to sit at the table. You do not have to prove yourself. You do not have to earn consistency. You do not have to beg for clarity. Love is not supposed to be complicated. It becomes complicated only when someone is trying to control the balance of power. Real connection is simple because it is honest. And you deserve simple. You deserve honest. You deserve love that doesn't come with conditions and traps. The most powerful move you can make is to redirect all that energy you've been pouring into him back into yourself. Every ounce of attention you withdraw from his games becomes fuel for your growth. Use it to build your confidence, to strengthen your boundaries, to elevate your life. When you do that, you don't just win the game. You rise above it completely. And once you rise above it, you will never lower yourself to those rules again. There comes a moment when you realize that silence can be louder than any word you could ever say. The energy you withhold becomes your greatest weapon. A man who plays games feeds on your reaction, your anger, your questions, your chasing. Every time you respond, you confirm that he still holds space in your heart. But when you choose silence, when you choose not to engage, the game collapses because the game only survives when you participate. By refusing to give your energy away, you send a message stronger than any confrontation. You cannot be controlled. This is not about coldness or bitterness. It is about power. It is about teaching yourself that not everyone deserves access to your emotions. You have been conditioned to believe that love means endless patience, endless forgiveness, endless waiting. But love without respect is not love. It is self-sacrifice. And you are not here to sacrifice your joy for someone who cannot give you stability. You are here to protect your spirit, to guard your peace, to honor the love you carry within you. Choosing silence is not retreat. It is strength. It is saying, I know my value and I refuse to waste it on someone who does not. Notice how quickly your energy shifts when you stop explaining yourself to someone who doesn't listen. Notice the relief when you stop defending your worth to someone who doesn't see it. That freedom is the beginning of self-mastery. Because the truth is, the only person you have control over is you. You cannot change his behavior. You cannot force him to love differently. You cannot rewrite the way he chooses to treat you. But you can decide that his choices will no longer define you. You can decide that your response will no longer be predictable. You can decide that his games end where your boundaries begin. Boundaries are not walls. They are bridges that protect your dignity. They are the lines you draw to remind yourself that love should never cost you your peace. When you set them, you are not pushing people away. You are making space for the right ones to step in, the ones who don't need to test you, confuse you, or manipulate you to feel powerful, the ones who see your heart as a gift, not a toy. Setting boundaries is an act of self-respect, and self-respect is magnetic. It attracts honesty. It repels manipulation. It creates a filter that only allows real connection into your life. The more you practice silence, the more you strengthen your boundaries, the more you discover something life-changing. You don't actually need the approval you once begged for. You begin to feel whole without it. You realize that your happiness was never supposed to be tied to someone else's inconsistency. Happiness is built inside you by the choices you make every day to honor yourself. And once you taste that independence, once you feel that strength, you will never again settle for someone who thrives on keeping you small. You are not here to shrink yourself for love. You are not here to play by rules designed to confuse you. You are here to rise, to step fully into your worth, and to choose peace over chaos. That choice is the end of his game and the beginning of your freedom. And the moment you embrace it, you step into a life where no one can ever again use your heart as their playground. Control is an illusion when you base your worth on someone else's behavior. Every text you wait for, every call you hope arrives, every small gesture you analyze, these are not measures of love. They are measures of his need to control your emotions. And the deeper you sink into that illusion, the more power you hand over to someone who doesn't deserve it. True strength is understanding that your emotional state does not need to be dictated by someone else. It is yours to govern, your sanctuary to protect, your choice to nurture. The moment you claim that power, everything changes. When you stop reacting, when you stop chasing, when you stop seeking validation from someone who thrives on your uncertainty, you create an entirely new dynamic. You are no longer a participant in his manipulation. You are the observer of it. And being the observer is transformative. It allows you to see patterns clearly, to recognize the tactics designed to make you question yourself, and to respond in a way that does not give them life. Silence, composure, and self-respect become your armor, and the world immediately perceives the shift. A man who once felt in control suddenly realizes that he has no hold over you. That shift is electric. Empowerment comes not from changing him, but from changing yourself. Every moment spent worrying, wondering, or strategizing about his intentions is energy taken away from your own growth. That energy belongs to you, and when you redirect it, you begin to see the life you could be living, the career goals you could be achieving, the friendships you could be deepening, the self-love you could be nurturing. You start to understand that the life you imagined is not dependent on anyone else's behavior. It is dependent on the choices you make right now. And every choice to prioritize yourself weakens the grip of anyone who attempts to play games with your heart. The psychology behind this is undeniable. Humans respond to boundaries and consistency. The moment you make yourself unavailable for manipulation, your behavior signals that your heart cannot be toyed with. He will try perhaps to test you, to provoke a reaction, but the difference now is that you do not react on his terms. You respond on yours or not at all. That refusal to be drawn into chaos rewires the power structure of your interactions. You are no longer defined by his actions. You are defined by your own strength, your own clarity, your own unwavering sense of self. Remember, self-respect is magnetic. It attracts the kind of love that does not require games, does not rely on manipulation, does not demand your doubt as currency. When you operate from this place, you are no longer chasing someone who is unworthy. You are inviting those who are worthy to step forward. And even if he never changes, even if he never appreciates you, it does not matter. You are already whole. You are already enough. You are already capable of commanding the love and respect you deserve. Your heart is not a puzzle for someone else to solve. Your peace is not a prize for someone to earn. The moment you internalize this truth, you move from being a participant in his games to being the master of your own life. And that mastery is unstoppable. You are no longer waiting. You are no longer hoping. You are no longer bending to someone else's rhythm. You are rising. You are free. You are powerful. And no one can ever take that away from you. Every person who plays games with your heart relies on one thing above all, your reaction. They feed on it, measure it, manipulate it, and use it to validate their own control. But what if you refuse to provide it? What if every tactic, every emotional trigger, every silent treatment or teasing remark met with calm, with clarity, with indifference to the chaos he tries to stir? That refusal is the ultimate power. It is not about being cold. It is about being conscious. It is about choosing yourself over the illusion of connection that only drains and destabilizes you. When you no longer react, you start to see the truth clearly. You see the patterns, the inconsistencies, the calculated behaviors designed to unsettle you. You no longer ask yourself, did I do something wrong? Or why won't he commit? Instead, you recognize that the problem was never yours. The inconsistency, the manipulation, the emotional games, all of it reflects him, not you. And understanding that truth is liberating. It frees you from guilt, from self-blame, from endless cycles of self-doubt. It allows you to reclaim your energy and redirect it toward growth, toward purpose, toward a life that honors your heart rather than undermines it. This is where courage becomes essential. It takes courage to walk away from patterns that feel familiar, even if they are harmful. It takes courage to stop chasing someone who has trained you to seek validation. It takes courage to tell yourself that your peace matters more than his approval, that your self-respect matters more than his temporary attention, that your happiness matters more than his games. And the more you practice that courage, the more it becomes a muscle, strengthening every choice you make. With each act of self-respect, you grow untouchable. Your heart becomes a sanctuary no one can invade unless invited. Awareness is equally transformative. You start to notice how often people confuse charm for care, how easily gestures can be mistaken for commitment. You understand that love is not confusing, love is not uncertain, and love does not make you feel small. Recognizing these truths rewires your perspective. You stop tolerating excuses, you stop rationalizing cruelty, and you stop trading your emotional labor for empty promises. Your mind becomes sharper, your intuition becomes stronger, and your heart becomes wiser. This clarity is both armor and compass, guiding you toward connections that honor you and away from the ones that do not. Empowerment grows when you reclaim your choices. Every time you say no to manipulation, every time you refuse to play, every time you protect your time, your emotions, and your boundaries, you assert that your heart is valuable. This is not arrogance, it is self-preservation. And self-preservation transforms into self-mastery. Once you master your responses, once you master your focus, once you master your attention, you are no longer vulnerable to games. You create a space where only respect, honesty, and consistency can exist. You are no longer reacting to chaos. You are commanding your life. The ultimate truth is this: freedom is found in refusal. Freedom is found in clarity. Freedom is found in unwavering self-respect. The man who plays games cannot reach you when you no longer participate. Your energy becomes untouchable, your heart becomes protected, and your soul begins to thrive. You are no longer waiting, no longer hoping, no longer fearing. You are standing firmly in your power, fully conscious of your worth, and completely capable of creating the love and life you deserve. The game ends because you refuse to play, and in that refusal, you discover your true strength. Every woman who has felt the sting of emotional games knows the weight of constant uncertainty, that tension, that anxiety, that feeling of never quite knowing where you stand. It is exhausting. And yet, most of us carry it silently. convincing ourselves that love requires this suffering, that devotion means tolerating inconsistency. But the truth is far more liberating. Love is not a test. Love does not thrive on confusion. Love does not demand your self-doubt as proof of commitment. Recognizing this truth is the first step toward dismantling the power he holds over you. When you stop measuring his actions against your worth, you reclaim control. The moments you spent waiting, wondering, hoping, those were moments where your energy was borrowed, taken without permission. But the power of self-awareness is that it allows you to see the manipulation for what it is and to redirect your energy toward yourself. Every ounce you reclaim builds strength, sharpens your intuition, and strengthens the boundaries that protect your heart. You no longer need to question your value because you are the authority of your own life. Your self-respect becomes the standard, and nothing less is acceptable. Discipline is what transforms awareness into power. Emotional discipline means refusing to react to triggers, refusing to chase validation, refusing to explain your worth to someone unwilling to acknowledge it. Every time you hold steady, every time you choose composure over chaos, you teach yourself and him that you cannot be manipulated, that you are not an open book for testing, that your emotions are not a playground. And the more you practice this discipline, the more automatic it becomes. Strength replaces insecurity, confidence replaces fear, peace replaces obsession. Your energy is the most valuable currency you have. Where it goes, your life follows. If you pour it into games, confusion, and manipulation, you will feel scattered, depleted, and powerless. But when you invest it in yourself, your growth, your joy, your purpose, you build a life that cannot be shaken by anyone else's actions. This is the psychological truth of human interaction. People respond to boundaries, to strength, and to clarity. When you operate from these principles, the dynamics of control shift entirely. He may continue his games, but they no longer touch you. You are untouchable because your foundation is unwavering. Part of this transformation is the recognition that love and validation must originate within. You cannot wait for someone else to confirm your worth without surrendering your power. Every moment spent seeking approval is a moment lost to your own growth. But every moment spent honoring yourself, protecting your heart, and asserting your standards is a moment invested in freedom. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes to expect respect, consistency, and honesty. The right people are drawn to you effortlessly because you are no longer tolerating what is unworthy. This is the essence of mastery, understanding that your emotional life is yours to govern. You decide what you accept, what you respond to, and what you allow into your inner world. The game's end when you refuse to play because their power is entirely dependent on your participation. And in that refusal, you step fully into your strength. You step into a space where peace replaces chaos, clarity replaces confusion, and self-respect replaces compromise. You are no longer a participant in someone else's manipulations. You are the author of your own life, and nothing can take that away from you. Every woman who has allowed herself to be drawn into manipulation knows the silent toll it takes. The hours spent analyzing messages, replaying conversations, and convincing yourself that if you just tried harder, it would be different. These moments are the invisible chains that keep you bound. But the power to break free has always been within you. It begins the moment you recognize that your energy is sacred, that your attention is not a resource to be exploited, and that your heart is not a playground for someone else's insecurities. The first step toward liberation is deciding that your emotional investment will no longer be spent on uncertainty. Clarity is your weapon. When you see his patterns for what they are, manipulation loses its grip. You begin to understand that every push and pull, every hot and cold exchange is not about you, it's about control. Once you separate yourself from the illusion that you can fix him or earn his consistency, the cycle collapses. This clarity allows you to make choices from a place of strength rather than fear. You no longer react impulsively. You no longer chase after what is fleeting. You no longer give away your peace for the temporary satisfaction of attention. You stand firm, grounded in the truth of your value, and nothing can shake you. Discipline is the bridge between knowing and acting. Emotional discipline is choosing not to respond to behavior that destabilizes you, refusing to justify yourself, and not bending to meet someone else's inconsistencies. Each time you exercise this discipline, You build a protective shield around your heart. Each moment you refuse to engage in games strengthens your boundaries and sharpens your awareness. The more you practice this, the less you are affected by manipulation, the less you are shaken by silence or mixed signals, and the more you reclaim your freedom. Strength becomes habit, and habit becomes power. Your energy is the most precious resource you have, and where it flows, your life follows. If you allow it to be consumed by uncertainty, confusion, or the pursuit of approval, you deplete yourself and give away your power. But when you redirect your energy towards self-respect, personal growth, and emotional freedom, you create a life that cannot be disturbed by the games of others. The psychology is simple but profound. Humans respond to confidence, consistency, and clarity. The moment you embody these traits, you shift the dynamic entirely. He may continue his attempts, but they no longer control you. You are untouchable because your foundation is unwavering. Self-validation is the cornerstone of transformation. Waiting for someone else to affirm your worth always leads to disappointment because their approval is conditional, fleeting, and unreliable. But when you validate yourself, honor your boundaries, and protect your emotional space, you no longer depend on external forces for your sense of value. The right people are drawn to you effortlessly because you operate from authenticity rather than desperation. You attract consistency, honesty, and respect simply because you have become someone who cannot settle for anything less. Mastery of your emotional world comes when you understand that participation in manipulation is optional. The games end when you refuse to play. Your power is your choice, your energy is your command, and your peace is your responsibility. By taking ownership of your emotional life, you step fully into your strength. You are no longer a participant in someone else's chaos. You are the author of your own heart, the guardian of your own peace, and the architect of the life you deserve. And that is a freedom no one can take away. Every time you give someone the power to unsettle your peace, you are allowing a shadow to grow inside your life. That shadow is doubt, confusion, and self-blame. It clouds your judgment, undermines your confidence, and makes you feel smaller than you are. But the moment you reclaim your attention and redirect it inward, the shadow disappears. You begin to see with clarity. You begin to feel with purpose. You begin to act from strength instead of fear. The energy you save from refusing to participate in manipulation becomes the fuel for transformation. You must understand this. Games thrive on your uncertainty. Every hesitation, every attempt to read between the lines, every anxious thought he has triggered within you is exactly what keeps him in control. But when you refuse to react, when you no longer chase after validation or explanations, the balance shifts. You are no longer the target, you are the observer. The power dynamic changes because you have taken back the one thing no one else can ever steal, your self-command. And once you understand this, you start to move through life differently, with confidence, clarity, and unwavering self-respect. Discipline is essential in this transformation. Emotional discipline is not about suppressing feelings, it is about mastering reactions. It is about choosing when, where, and how your energy is invested. Each time you resist the pull of manipulation, each time you do not respond to games, you strengthen your boundaries and cultivate resilience. That resilience becomes your shield, protecting your heart from anyone who does not respect your worth. Strength, once habitual, transforms into unshakable power. You begin to recognize that you are no longer subject to the chaos of others. You are the architect of your own emotional reality. Your energy is sacred. It is finite, and it must be invested wisely. When you channel it towards someone who manipulates or confuses you, it dissipates in frustration, anxiety, and self-doubt. But when you direct that same energy towards yourself, your growth, your passions, your peace, it multiplies. Your clarity sharpens. Your confidence deepens. Your presence commands respect. The psychology behind this is undeniable. People respond to strength, boundaries, and certainty. By cultivating these qualities, you no longer have to chase or convince. The energy you save becomes momentum, and momentum becomes transformation. Self-validation is the ultimate armor. Seeking validation from someone who plays games is like trying to fill a bottomless pit. It is endless, exhausting, and ultimately futile. But when you validate yourself, honor your emotions, and respect your boundaries, you are no longer dependent on external approval. You attract people who honor you because you honor yourself first. You naturally filter out those who manipulate, confuse, or disrespect you. The right relationships, the right opportunities, the right connections appear effortlessly because your energy is no longer scattered on the unworthy. The mastery of your emotional life lies in this truth: participation is optional. The games end the moment you refuse to play. You are no longer defined by his actions or his inconsistency. You are defined by your strength, your clarity, your self-respect, and your unwavering commitment to yourself. The freedom, the peace, the power that come from this choice are yours to claim. You are no longer waiting, no longer chasing, no longer reacting. You are standing fully in your power, and nothing can ever take that away. Every time you allow someone else's behavior to dictate your mood, you give away your power. You hand over your peace, your clarity, your energy, and your ability to act from strength. The more you participate in confusion, the more you feel trapped. The more you chase after explanations or fleeting attention, the more your confidence erodes. But the moment you decide that your emotional life is yours and yours alone, the entire dynamic shifts. You are no longer reacting. You are choosing. You are no longer uncertain. You are grounded. You are no longer small in the face of manipulation. You are untouchable. The first step toward reclaiming that power is awareness. Recognize the games for what they are: patterns designed to destabilize, to confuse, to make you question your worth. They are not about love. They are not about care. They are about control. And understanding this is revolutionary. The second you see through the illusion, you stop feeding it. You stop giving energy to what diminishes you. You no longer internalize behavior that was never about you. That clarity becomes a shield, a lens, and a compass all at once. It protects you, guides you, and shows you where your energy should truly be invested. Discipline is the bridge between awareness and transformation. Emotional discipline is choosing not to react to manipulation, refusing to chase validation, and protecting your boundaries relentlessly. Every time you exercise this discipline, you strengthen your heart, sharpen your mind, and solidify your self-respect. It becomes a habit that transforms your life. You begin to operate from power rather than fear. You move with intention rather than reaction. And each time you do, you prove to yourself that you are capable of commanding your own emotional world. Your energy is your most valuable asset, and it cannot be squandered. When you invest it in confusion, manipulation, or inconsistency, you deplete yourself. But when you invest it in yourself, your growth, your peace, your goals, it multiplies. It becomes momentum that propels you forward. The psychology behind this is simple. People respond to strength, consistency, and clarity. When you embody these traits, you stop attracting games and start attracting respect, honesty, and alignment. You no longer need to chase. You naturally draw the connections that honor your value. Self-validation is the cornerstone of transformation. Waiting for someone else to affirm your worth is a trap. Their approval is fleeting, conditional, and unreliable. But when you validate yourself, when you honor your emotions, your boundaries, and your time, you become immune to manipulation. You attract people who match your energy rather than drain it. You command respect without demanding it. You create a life in which your heart is safe, your peace is intact, and your freedom is absolute. The mastery of your emotional world comes down to one truth: participation is optional. You are no longer required to play by the rules of someone who cannot love with honesty. The games end the moment you refuse to engage. Your heart, your energy, and your life are yours to protect and to cultivate. When you claim this power, you step fully into freedom. You are no longer waiting, no longer chasing, no longer questioning. You are standing firmly in your strength, and nothing can ever take that away. Your freedom begins the moment you stop believing that someone else's behavior defines your worth. Every mixed signal, every delay, every cold silence only has the power you give it. When you stop giving it power, the entire dynamic collapses. You realize that control was never his, it was always yours. You were simply unaware of it, and once you reclaim it, a profound shift occurs. You no longer need validation from someone who cannot offer consistency. You no longer bend your emotions to fit another's whims. You no longer allow confusion to dictate your peace. Your energy becomes your own, and with it, the ability to create a life rooted in clarity, strength, and self-respect. Awareness is your foundation. The first step to breaking free is seeing the games for what they are. deliberate attempts to destabilize you, to make you doubt yourself, and to keep you emotionally tethered. Understanding this is liberating. Once you see the manipulation, you stop feeding it. You stop explaining it away. You stop internalizing it. You begin to reclaim the energy you were losing to someone else's uncertainty and redirect it to yourself. Each moment you do this, you are building resilience, sharpening intuition, and strengthening the boundaries that protect your heart. Discipline is the bridge between awareness and power. Emotional discipline is choosing not to react impulsively, refusing to chase validation, and setting firm boundaries that cannot be crossed. Every time you exercise this discipline, you solidify your self-respect and reinforce your strength. You stop participating in chaos and start commanding your emotional life. Strength becomes habit, and habit becomes transformation. Each act of self-control, no matter how small, chips away at the whole manipulation once had, and each act of self-respect builds an unshakable foundation for your freedom. Your energy is sacred, and where it flows, your life follows. If you spend it on confusion, doubt, and emotional games, you deplete yourself and allow your power to be stolen. But when you redirect that energy inward towards your growth, your peace, your purpose, it multiplies. You cultivate clarity, deepen your confidence, and radiate a presence that commands respect. The psychology is undeniable. People respond to strength, certainty, and unwavering self-respect. The moment you embody these qualities, manipulation loses its effectiveness. You are no longer a participant in someone else's games. You are the guardian of your own heart. Self-validation becomes your ultimate armor. Waiting for someone else to affirm your worth only leads to disappointment because their approval is fleeting and unreliable. But when you honor yourself first, when you validate your own value and protect your own heart, you become impervious to manipulation. You attract the people, opportunities, and connections that match your energy rather than drain it. Your boundaries become a magnet for respect and honesty, and your life begins to reflect the clarity and strength you have cultivated within yourself. The truth is simple, yet revolutionary. Participation is optional. The games end the moment you refuse to play. You are no longer defined by someone else's inconsistency, deception, or manipulation. You are defined by your strength, your clarity, your self-respect, and your unwavering commitment to yourself. This is the power of choice, the power to reclaim your energy, your peace, and your life. When you embrace it fully, you stand unshakable, no longer waiting, no longer chasing, and no longer questioning. You are free. You are powerful. You are untouchable. True power begins when you realize that no one can control your emotions unless you allow them to. Every mixed signal, every delay, every inconsistent word only has the influence you give it. Once you take back that influence, once you stop reacting, the game loses its meaning. You are no longer trapped in cycles of doubt, confusion, and emotional exhaustion. You begin to move through life with clarity, confidence, and unwavering self-respect. The energy that was once drained by uncertainty is now yours to invest in yourself, in your growth, and in the life you deserve. Awareness is the first step toward transformation. You must see the games for what they truly are. Strategies designed to destabilize you and make you question your worth. They are never about love or care. They are about control. Understanding this allows you to stop feeding the manipulation, stop internalizing the chaos, and stop blaming yourself for the behaviors of someone else. Every moment you reclaim your attention and focus it on yourself is a victory. You are strengthening your intuition, reinforcing your boundaries, and proving to yourself that your peace is not negotiable. Discipline is the bridge between understanding and power. Emotional discipline is the conscious choice to protect your heart, to refuse to react to manipulation, and to maintain boundaries that cannot be crossed. Each time you exercise this discipline, you reinforce your self-respect and your strength. You begin to act from intention rather than impulse, from control rather than chaos. These small, consistent choices build a foundation of unshakable resilience. Strength becomes habitual, and with it comes freedom. The freedom to live your life on your own terms, unburdened by games, drama, or emotional manipulation. Your energy is the most valuable resource you have, and it must be invested wisely. Every moment spent trying to decipher confusing behavior, seeking validation, or chasing approval is a moment lost from building the life you deserve. But when you direct that energy towards self-growth, clarity, and purpose, it multiplies. You radiate confidence, attract respect, and naturally filter out those who are unworthy of your attention. The psychology is clear. People respond to strength, consistency, and self-respect. When you embody these qualities, manipulation no longer works and you are untouchable in ways that are immediately visible to the world around you. Self-validation is the ultimate act of empowerment. Depending on someone else to confirm your worth is a trap. It keeps you tethered to uncertainty and insecurity. But when you honor your own value, protect your boundaries, and refuse to participate in manipulation, you become impervious to games. You attract relationships, opportunities, and people who reflect your own energy rather than diminish it. Your heart becomes a sanctuary, your mind a fortress, and your life a reflection of the strength, clarity, and self-respect you cultivate daily. The ultimate truth is simple. Participation is optional. The moment you refuse to play, the game ends. You are no longer defined by someone else's inconsistency, manipulation, or deceit. You are defined by your courage, your clarity, your self-respect, and your commitment to yourself. This is the power of choice. This is the path to freedom. When you embrace it fully, you are no longer waiting, no longer chasing, no longer doubting. You stand firmly in your power, unshakable, unstoppable, and entirely untouchable. The foundation of true strength lies in the refusal to let anyone else dictate your emotional state. Every text left unanswered, every mixed signal, every moment of confusion only has the power you grant it. When you stop granting it that power, you step into clarity. You are no longer at the mercy of manipulation. You are no longer a participant in uncertainty. You are no longer waiting for validation from someone who cannot give it consistently. Your energy returns to you untainted and full of potential. You begin to invest it in what matters most, yourself, your goals, your peace, and the life you are determined to build. Awareness is the first step in reclaiming that power. Recognize the patterns of manipulation for what they are. Deliberate attempts to make you doubt, question, and chase. They are never a reflection of your value. They are a reflection of someone else's need for control. When you see this clearly, you stop feeding the cycle. You stop explaining, apologizing, and overanalyzing. You redirect that energy inward toward building the boundaries, resilience, and self-respect that protect your heart. The moment you do this, you reclaim control over your emotional life. Discipline transforms awareness into actionable power. Emotional discipline is the choice to protect your peace, to refuse to react to manipulation, and to uphold your boundaries without compromise. Each time you exercise this discipline, your strength grows. You learn to act from intention rather than impulse, to respond from power rather than fear. Habitual strength becomes unshakable. You begin to operate from a place of unwavering clarity, where chaos cannot touch you, confusion cannot distract you, and manipulation cannot penetrate. Freedom emerges naturally from this consistent practice. Your energy is sacred, and how you invest it shapes your life. Every moment spent chasing explanations or seeking approval is energy lost. Every ounce devoted to confusion and inconsistency depletes your strength. But when you invest that energy in yourself, your growth, your peace, your purpose, it multiplies. Confidence deepens, clarity sharpens, presence becomes magnetic. The psychology is undeniable. People respond to strength, certainty, and self-respect. When you embody these qualities, manipulation fails. You no longer participate in the games of others. You create your own reality, one rooted in control, stability, and honor. Self-validation is your ultimate shield. Relying on someone else to confirm your worth is a trap that keeps you tethered to insecurity. When you honor your value, protect your boundaries, and refuse to engage in manipulation, you render these tactics powerless. You attract people, relationships, and opportunities that mirror your strength rather than challenge it. Your heart becomes untouchable, your mind disciplined, and your life aligned with the clarity, confidence, and peace you have cultivated. The greatest truth is simple. Participation is optional. The moment you refuse to play, the game ends. You are no longer defined by inconsistency, manipulation, or deceit. You are defined by your courage, your self-respect, your clarity, and your unwavering commitment to yourself. This is the power of choice. This is the path to freedom. You are no longer waiting, no longer chasing, and no longer questioning. You are standing fully in your power, unshakable, unstoppable, and completely untouchable. The moment you accept that your emotional life is yours and yours alone, everything changes. No longer does someone else's inconsistency dictate your mood, your self-worth, or your sense of peace. Every delay, every mixed signal, every attempt at manipulation loses its grip because you refuse to give it power. You are no longer waiting, no longer questioning, no longer trying to earn what cannot be earned. You are reclaiming your energy, and with it, your clarity, your strength, and your freedom. Your attention is no longer a resource to be exploited. It is a weapon of empowerment that you now wield consciously. Awareness is the foundation of this power. Recognizing the patterns of manipulation for what they are is revolutionary. These behaviors are never about love or care. They are about control. Every push, every pull, every confusing action is designed to destabilize and provoke. Once you see this clearly, you stop feeding the game. You stop internalizing the chaos, stop questioning your worth, and stop sacrificing your peace for someone else's insecurity. That energy, once drained by doubt and uncertainty, is now returned to you, and with it, the ability to act, choose, and thrive from a place of strength. Discipline transforms awareness into action. Emotional discipline is choosing to maintain composure in the face of manipulation, refusing to chase validation, and protecting your boundaries with unwavering consistency. Each act of self-control strengthens your armor and reinforces your power. You begin to act intentionally rather than reactively, to respond from confidence rather than fear. Habitual discipline reshapes your life, creating a foundation of unshakable resilience. You are no longer subject to the chaos of others. You are the master of your own emotional world. Your energy is the most precious resource you possess, and how you invest it shapes your reality. When you devote it to deciphering confusion, chasing attention, or seeking approval, it dissipates, leaving you depleted and powerless. But when you channel that energy toward yourself, your growth, your goals, your peace, it multiplies. Clarity sharpens, confidence deepens, and your presence becomes magnetic. The psychology is clear: strength, consistency, and self-respect command respect and disarm manipulation. You no longer operate under someone else's rules. You create your own. Self-validation is the ultimate shield against manipulation. Depending on someone else to affirm your worth is a trap that keeps you tethered to uncertainty. But when you honor your value, maintain your boundaries, and refuse to participate in games, you become impervious to control. You naturally attract people and opportunities that reflect your energy, not challenge it. Your heart becomes a sanctuary, your mind a fortress, and your life a mirror of the strength, clarity, and self-respect you have cultivated. The truth is simple: participation is optional. The moment you refuse to engage, the game ends. You are no longer defined by inconsistency, manipulation, or deceit. You are defined by your courage, your clarity, your self-respect, and your unwavering commitment to yourself. This is the power of choice. This is freedom. You are no longer waiting, chasing, or doubting. You are standing fully in your power, unshakable, unstoppable, and completely untouchable.